Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today we're going to discuss the first commander of the Continental Navy. Today's subject is a man named Commodore Esek Hopkins. Now, you might recognize the name Hopkins because Esek's brother Stephen Hopkins was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. I made a video a while back about him. I'll put a link over here. And Stephen has one of my favorite quotes of the Revolution. He had palsy, so his shaky hands when he signed his shaky signature on the Declaration, he famously said, "My hand trembles, but my heart does not." I love the quote so much, it's one of the few I put on a t-shirt. Go to my website at the link below if you'd like to pick up one of several cool quotes on a shirt. Now that I got that promo out of the way, Esek Hopkins was a merchant from Rhode Island, and he made a lot of money as a merchant, and he also served as a privateer on occasion. He was good enough at piloting ships where, between his well-placed brother and his own fame as a captain of a ship, the Continental Congress selected him as the first Commodore of the Continental Navy. And he sailed from Philadelphia with all of 8 ships to fight, the might of the British Navy. And he was told to go scout the British in the Chesapeake, see if he could rid the Chesapeake of the British infestation, if you will, and from there do whatever he saw fit to help the revolution. So he sails from Philadelphia into the Chesapeake and sees the British and goes, "Yep, that's the British Navy, all right. I can attack them and get slaughtered, or I can go do something else." And he wisely made the decision to go somewhere else. So he sails to the Bahamas and he goes to the island of Nassau, which at the time was called New Providence. And while he was there, he actually attacks a fort and is able to land troops on the island, which essentially, this is the first time U.S. Marines land on foreign soil. So they take the fort, they take all the supplies. It was very lightly guarded. It wasn't actually that much trouble. But they take a bunch of supplies and they put them on the ships and they're like, let's go back to Rhode Island. We'll drop them off there and get these supplies to George Washington, who desperately needs supplies. So they're sailing back up, and as they're passing Long Island, New York, they run into a smaller fleet of British ships, and they decide to attack. And they do. They attack, and they actually take 2 small prizes. The biggest ship got away, unfortunately, but they got more supplies to give to George Washington. So they go up there, and he lands at Rhode Island and doesn't do much for a while. So he ends up getting in a little bit of hot water because he was kind of sitting there. People were complaining he wasn't going out doing more, but his argument was basically like, it's the British Navy. It's the greatest naval power in the world at the time, considering Spain was dropping in its ranking as powerful navies. And actually, Esek Hopkins ends up getting censured by the Continental Congress. And this is despite him being not promoted, but given a lot of props from names like John Hancock and John Adams and Benjamin Franklin. These people were all 100% behind Hopkins. But the Continental Congress had a lot of infighting. And there were some people from the South who were like, how come another Northerner is in charge of the Navy? We could have a great Southerner in charge of the Navy, and yada, yada, yada. So he does end up getting censured, not just because, first of all, he was kind of waiting around in Rhode Island, but also because he failed to act in the Chesapeake. He was commanded by the Congress to go attack the British in the Chesapeake, then do whatever he wanted. Again, his argument was, we would have just been destroyed. Should I have just gone and destroyed the Continental Navy in its first 3 weeks of existence? Apparently that was the thought. Yes, you should have manned up, so to speak. So that's the story of Esek Hopkins. We're going to keep it as short as we can tonight. Not only the first commander of United States Navy, back when it was the Continental Navy, but the first person to land U.S. troops on foreign soil. U.S. Marines, I should say. So, a very important person, and that is how we really should remember him in history. Unfortunately, he's usually remembered as kind of a failure because of the censure, but I like to think he did a good job. Hopefully you do too now. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to come back with one more video tomorrow. It's Friday, and then on Saturday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to do a live video where I'll review the articles I wrote this week. So if you like this video, please hit like. If you're new here, just stumbled on it, you really liked it, definitely hit subscribe. I put these out 5 days a week, plus my live video on the weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to bringing you another video tomorrow.